you do a little shamatha, you produce some peace. It's really nice. It really helps you in your life. And then you go about your business and 30 years later, you haven't really gotten that far. You got something out of this, you know. It's a better life than you had before, but you didn't really follow the instructions. You can either not do this or you can do this. You can either use this piece. What this piece is really, its highest use, this piece is like a microscope to examine the nature of reality. So that second one we were talking about, primitive beliefs about reality. Now we're talking about Vipassana. You know, maybe we should be a 6 month or a year into your meditation before we start talking Vipassana. We should, for the first 6 months for sure, it's a gradual thing. Learning how to alternate between shamatha and Vipassana. In the beginning, shamatha is plenty good, you know. That's all you need. Vipassana is there. Vipassana is everywhere. Even at the beginning, when all you're taught is shamatha, and that all you're doing is shamatha, 70% of the meditation, according to Trungpa Rinpoche, is just the environment that you're there sitting in. So, and that's Vipassana. So no matter what, 70% of the experience of those Vipassana experience. So there's no getting away from a Vipassana, really. It's 70% of the deal, no matter, even at the level where you don't even give it a thought. It's always there. It's always been there. Always, it's part of it always. But you can practice shamatha, gain a little peace, use that peace as like a microscope. Without that peace, you can't really see much about the nature of reality. You can't really appreciate the atmosphere. You can't really have a knowing quality about your experience. It's impossible. All you can have is an ignorance quality about your experience, just because you can't appreciate the environment. You can't appreciate the space. You're too caught up in your thoughts. You're too caught up in the ego to allow that space to be a balanced part of the whole picture. But then you're given instructions on Vipassana. I've talked about what these instructions are. I don't think I'm going to go too deeply into it now, but there's a million ways to slice it. Vipassana is a vast topic. Half of it is highly intellectual, highly structured ways of understanding reality and practicing that way. And then there's an aspect of Vipassana which is more just I like to say it like Luke trusts the Force. It's just like trusting the Force, learning slowly to trust the Force. Sometimes we say radiation without a radiator. We're always going out on the out breath, and I even encourage a lot more letting go on the out breath, letting go on the out breath, letting go in general. That's an aspect of Vipassana. Relaxation. Vipassana is sort of inseparable from relaxation, really. I don't know. I'm always always telling the same story. I don't know. Maybe I've told it one too many times, but just think about a little brown rabbit sitting out in a field. And then there's trees. It's a big field, but there's, let's say 4 or 5 acre field, and then there's a tree line all the way around. And you think the rabbit is helpless to all the predators that are around in the field. Except for his Vipassana experience, you might be right, but if we take into account his Vipassana experience, a different truth emerges. That rabbit's true power to keep himself protected is his Vipassana experience. He just sits there and rests his mind in nature of his mind. He becomes his environment so that he knows everything. He knows everything that happens in this environment. If a coyote pokes his nose out of the woods 200 yards over there, the rabbit knows it. Just because of he's become one with his environment. And he can leave and go the opposite way. He just knows. So, that might be an example of, that's what happens to us when our Vipassana gets really good. We just know everything. Maybe not in the beginning we know everything, but we know a lot. And we just know more and more and more and more and more until we become the universe. We become reality itself. We are no longer have maybe just little tiny funny flashes of ego. Ha ha ha. Look at that. Remember, that was me all the time. But mainly we just like Trump Rinpoche. He was just like, he had become reality itself. There was no such thing as a primitive belief about reality, about him. Turn that upside down and he had become reality itself, man. And he showed it to you, whether you wanted to, or you could swallow it or not. You couldn't handle it. You couldn't handle the truth. The brave ones would just try to stay open a little bit, try to stay, and the cowards would run. Not run right away, man, but they were glad when they got out of there. Anyway, whatever. Everybody wanted it and everybody wanted to run from it. It's just like everybody wants it and everybody wants to run from it. Everybody wants it and everybody wants to run from it. But reality is, primitive beliefs about reality are shaken to the core. Primitive beliefs about reality are shaken to the core. But it's just this gradual thing. But you always return to shamatha. You use up your piece or your microscope, it's gone away, and all you left is like a shivering, scared, witless creature. You go back to shamatha, you ground yourself. You get some grounding and peace. You learn you can never just head off toward Vipassana and never come back. You cannot do that. That is the way of error. Return to shamatha. Always return to shamatha. Always return to shamatha. But all of a sudden you find yourself at a higher level of shamatha. That was interesting. here's what I think is going on with the 3 words that strike the vital point. Is you just pound on that view, you 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 pound on that view, and one day, it won't be soon maybe, after 20, 30, 40 years, pounding on that view, pounding on that view, something will occur to you. All this stuff will occur to you a lot. A lot of things will occur to you a lot. You'll gain this stability of being able to handle things. And things will get thrown at you like you cannot believe. You think your reward for gathering these virtues, helping others, establishing bodhicitta, which is the most precious thing of all. The most precious thing there is your bodhicitta, which you are generating, along with alternating between shamatha and vipassana. You are generating bodhicitta practice, and pounding on the view is also pounding on the bodhicitta practice. Just hammering, hammering, hammering. That's hard to do. Bodhicitta practice is hard to do. It's hard to do. Easy to forget. Don't forget. Don't neglect your bodhicitta practice, because that's really all you have to offer here in a way. It's how's your bodhicitta practice? Okay, come on in. No bodhicitta, you're not ready. Go back out there. All you really bring to the party is your stable mind is good. Your vipassana practice is good, but without your bodhicitta practice, you got nothing really. Who are you doing this for? To become Rudra? Evidently. Well, no Rudras are invited into here. Rudras go over there. So you you realize that you have this decisive moment. Or, maybe you should, some texts say you should always, every day, every minute, be creating this decisive moment. You should spend your life creating this decisive moment. Or this decisive moment dawns on you. I think until the decisive moment dawns on you, probably wouldn't occur to you to make this decisive statement or this decisive intention or this. There is like a job being offered to you. There's a job being offered to you. Here's the job. Do nothing. The job is to do nothing except rest your mind in the nature of your mind. It seems like doing nothing. Seems like that's doing nothing. Seems too simple. Seems too I don't know, there's a lot of cool boredom. Sometimes I was talking about cool boredom. There's been a lot of cool boredom, which is an antidote to the heat of neurosis. Rinpoche talks about it as an important good thing in meditation that you experience a lot of cool boredom, which is you familiarize yourself with the heat of neurosis and cool boredom. And, so it's like cool boredom in a way, partly. But anyway, this is the second word that strikes the vital point, which is take a decision. All right, it comes upon you that there's a possibility here that you're being offered this juncture of taking a decision to never waver from Rigpa, shall we say. We're going to have to broaden our understanding of Rigpa here, possibly to include the moving mind. Just because your mind is moving doesn't mean the Rigpa goes away, you know. It's a way of handling the mind is not moving. That's a little more clearly Rigpa, but we learn how to handle the moving mind so that it's also Rigpa. It's also, we never become separate. Usually we become separate at that point. Usually we wander off into Sims at that point. It's something different. It's not a Rigpa anymore, but there's a way. So the second word that strikes the vital point is you take a decision, you take a decisive stand, shall we say, or you take a decision. I'm taking the job. I'm taking the job to never let my mind wander from the nature of my mind. Rigpa, shall we say. Rigpa it is. And that's, I think, a very important stage in practice, you know. You may have to rinse and repeat 1,000,000 times, probably. Probably stumble off. I might have to return to pounding the view. You might have to return to point 1 because you got lost or shit came at you and you couldn't. You got freaked out, or you got angry, you got lustful, you got prideful, you got fearful, you got, I went and I hid somewhere, ignorance. I think you only get one first time with that decisive moment, but for many people they can't hang.